We have all heard it muttered across sticky restaurant tables, whispered in the dim light of a living room, or tossed casually over a grocery aisle cart. Whatever you want. Anything is fine. Or I'm good with whatever. It sounds like the ultimate display of flexibility, the peaceful surrender of ego in the name of harmony. We mistake it for compromise. We smile, take the steering wheel, and choose the restaurant, the movie, the weekend plan, or the color of the curtains, secretly pleased that our partner is so accommodating, so low maintenance, so easy to love. But what if I told you that those 5 simple words are actually the quietest, most devastating execution of a relationship? What if the person who says whatever you want hasn't given you freedom, but has instead surrendered their last ounce of investment in the shared future? Let us look closely at the architecture of domestic exhaustion. It rarely starts with a massive explosion or a cinematic shouting match. Those are loud, messy, and paradoxically full of life. Shouting means someone still cares enough to fight for their territory, their perspective, their slice of reality. No, the real rot sets in long before the noise begins. It begins in the marrow of daily friction, where every minor disagreement feels like pushing a boulder up a hill with bare hands. You suggest a restaurant, they sigh because it is too far. They suggest a movie, you dismiss it because it is too boring. Month after month, year after year, the friction wears down the edges of communication until the cost of having an opinion becomes entirely too high. This is where the transformation happens, silent and invisible. The brain, calculating the emotional expenditure of a debate, makes a cold, pragmatic calculation. Is this specific Thai restaurant worth 20 minutes of passive-aggressive commentary? Is this weekend trip worth the sigh that follows? The answer, arrived at through pure self-preservation, is no. So the individual makes a trade. They trade their voice for peace. They trade their preference for silence. They hand over the remote control, the itinerary, the map, and the decision-making apparatus of the relationship, sliding them across the table with a polite, vacant smile. They call it being easygoing. They call it picking your battles. But when you stop picking every single battle, you aren't a peaceful warrior. You have simply laid down your weapons and walked away from the war zone while your physical body remains seated in the chair. Think about the last time you heard those words in your own life. Did you feel a warm wave of gratitude, or was there a faint, cold hollow in your chest that you chose to ignore? When someone says whatever you want to everything from where to live to what to eat for dinner, they are no longer participating. They're observing their own life from a distance of 3 feet. They have outsourced the mental labor of caring. Think of the sheer weight of being the sole architect of shared decisions. At first, it feels like power. You get your way every single time. You choose the weekend plans, you pick the friends you visit, you dictate the rhythm of the household. But as the weeks drag on, a strange, suffocating loneliness creeps in. You realize you are no longer dancing with a partner. You are waltzing with a mirror. You are asking questions to a ghost who answers with a polite nod and an empty echo. The tragedy of the easygoing partner is that their compliance is not a gift, it is a withdrawal slip. In economics, when an investor stops asking questions about the company's direction, stops attending board meetings, and simply cashes whatever dividend comes their way without checking the ledger, it does not mean they trust the CEO implicitly. It means they have divested mentally and are simply waiting for the right moment to liquidate their assets entirely. In love, whatever you want is the verbal equivalent of pulling money out of a failing bank. They are no longer risking emotional capital on you. Why invest a preference, an authentic desire, or a vulnerable opinion into a structure where they believe their voice holds zero structural integrity? To offer an opinion is to make yourself vulnerable to rejection or dismissal. By eliminating opinions altogether, they bulletproof themselves against disappointment. If they didn't care about the choice in the first place, they can never be hurt by the outcome. We praise people for being flexible, for never rocking the boat, for smoothing over the rough patches with a shrug. But a boat that never rocks is either anchored to the bottom of a stagnant swamp or it has already sunk to the muddy floor. Real intimacy is messy, contentious, and stubbornly alive. It involves 2 separate human consciousnesses colliding, rubbing against each other, occasionally bruising, and constantly negotiating the terms of coexistence. It requires the courage to say, I hate this idea, let's find a better one, because that statement contains a profound underlying premise. I believe we are worth the argument. I believe our shared happiness matters enough for me to spend my energy on it. When that belief evaporates, the arguments stop. Not because you have finally achieved Zen-like harmony, but because you have stopped caring about the destination. If you don't care where the car is going, you don't care if the driver takes a left turn or a right turn into a brick wall. You just stare out the passenger window, watching the telephone poles blur past, numb to the scenery and indifferent to the crash. That is what I don't care anymore truly means. It is the sound of someone checking out of the hotel of your shared life, leaving their luggage in the lobby while they mentally catch a flight to somewhere, anywhere else. So stop mistaking compliance for compatibility. Stop feeling proud that you won every argument this year, that your partner never pushes back, that your household runs with the terrifying efficiency of a dictatorship where the citizens have simply stopped whispering about a revolution. Look beneath the surface of that easy, breezy agreeableness. What you will find is not a saint of patience, but a ghost of expectations long since buried. You traded their passion for peace, and in doing so, you traded the soul of the connection for the convenience of an empty room. You mistook their surrender for peace, while they were already packing their bags in silence.